How are you, Rod?
Well, I'm doing well, Gary. It's,
well, we're all hanging in there.
Have a lot of commotion going on.
We would normally be right smack dab in the middle of spring practice, and A-Day a couple of weeks away. As it is, we have no spring football, but there are some encouraging reports that I'm reading on both the coronavirus pandemic and on the expectation that we'll have some sports cranking back up in the late summer and early fall. The PGA Tour already announcing today that they're planning on playing the PGA Championship in August, the U.S. Open in September, the Masters in November, and the Ryder Cup will remain in late September. That's right during the time that football is going to be played. So maybe that's a positive sign that we're going to get college football in after all.
Well, I hope so. I did see Oklahoma, the University of Oklahoma. I don't know if you saw this or not. Supposedly suspended all in-person activities until July 31st. Did you see that?
No, I did not. I did not see that.
Yeah, saw that posted. That's what you get when you look at the Tighter Insider forums. I mean, all kinds of little snippets like that, which was surprising a little bit, but at the same time, as we know, they can certainly can change that. That can change. Now, I do know that the University of West Florida plans on resuming workers coming back and on May 6th, and that they're going to resume school. They plan temporarily right now in June. The students will be welcomed back to campus. Now, that's as of now. And with that said, there may be some limitations to that. But and that's not just the University of West Florida. That's approved by the state of Florida. So all of the colleges there will be approved, welcome to do that. Now, again, could that change? Yeah, it could change, but as of right now, that's the way it is. So that could be an encouraging sign if those things take place.
Rodney, I always say that Nick Saban is the E.F. Hutton of sports. When he talks, people listen, and he had a teleconference on Thursday, and he told reporters about the use of Apple Watches as part of a plan from the new strength directors, David Ballou and Dr. Matt Ray, and how that's helping them monitor, the weight training and what's going on with their players while they're off campus. Well, you knew that was going to, get some ears buzzing, and a lot of talk came up about it being a violation of NCAA rules. Alabama said the SEC is aware of it. It sounded like to me it's just, once again, Nick Saban staying ahead of the curve and other people getting caught, without taking advantage of it, and a little bit of sour grapes there on the part of some.
That sounded like it to me. Again, it'd be interesting to see what decisions made in terms of will Alabama be allowed to continue to do that. And it was great that Alabama quickly put out a statement. Matt Self, I think, from the UA Compliance Department, put out a statement that the SEC had been aware of Alabama's plans, and so that's a positive. But, yeah, I saw some complaints. But I've also seen some complaints, Gary, that some of these schools, and I have an idea of maybe one that might be, that having prospects or making in-person visits with prospects, that NCAA had to put out a statement saying, warning every school that, this is not going to be tolerated. So, there's probably some things going on, but as far as that's concerned with Alabama, obviously Alabama covered their bases on it. And I did notice Dabo had a comment about, they weren't really worried about Apple Watches, that their players are taking care of their business. But, listen, these coaching staffs, they're all keeping tabs on their players right now that are off. That's something that's really important. And, I don't think there should be limitations on that at all. I think this is an important time this is such an important time, Gary, for coaches to be able to communicate with their players and to follow up with them and to stay on top of them, not just because of the workouts and the things that they want them to do and need to do, but simply for encouragement. These kids right now, there's a lot of uncertainty, and I think the coaches being able to reassure them is really, really something that's important.
Indeed. And you mentioned Dabo. He said, I don't know, maybe Alabama got a different interpretation or something, talking about the watches. There are a lot of different interpretations out there right now. We don't need an Apple Watch to know our guys are doing the right thing. Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah.
Don't use them, even if they're cleared to be used. Just don't use them. So I mean, that's I
heard he took a private plane flying on.
Evidently,
vacation.
he's flying all over the country on luxury vacations. That doesn't seem.
You almost wonder what the response would be, and I love Dabo, but I almost wonder what the response would be if Nick Saban had loaded up his crew and was flying all over the place.
Meltdown. It would be a meltdown. You know what the reaction would be. He'd be called out by every talking head analyst show on the sports networks, and I did see. In fairness, I saw a little bit of negative reaction to Dabo announcing that he was doing that, but not nearly what it would have been if it was Nick Saban, Rod. But that's why there's only one Nick Saban. He's still the GOAT. Speaking of Nick Saban. He did visit with reporters. How do you think, and this is just your opinion, but how do you think he's handling this? Do you think that he's it's driving him nuts, or do you just think he sees it as a new challenge to try to overcome with the players?
Well, I think, yeah, and I think we ought to look at how we're handling it. And Gary, I know it's difficult for me. As far as working at home. Other than Tighter Insider, other than when there's practices or some event at the university where I have to be there, whether it's a press conference game, whatever it might be, I'm not really doing much that different. But at the same time, there's really not a lot of information. I'm not one of these that's going to put out a headline, Gary, that's just a headline. I just don't have time to do that, to try to give somebody something to read that's really not newsworthy or whatever information. So it kind of on me. It's I'm going to be honest with you. The routine that I've got, it's kind of wearing right now because I can't do the things in terms of covering the practices, spring practice. It's such a great time to be able to look at the team and evaluate the players just in our own eyes. Just the glimpses that we get and make some assessments in our own minds. See how guys have progressed over the off season physically. All of those things are something that I've always enjoyed doing, and I'm glad to be able to do that in my job and provide that to our subscribers. And it's just not there. And we can't do it. Our routine, and you work out. You go to the gym. You have a trainer. I go to the gym. Same thing, and our schedules are all messed up. We can't do anything. So it's driving us crazy. So can you imagine what Nick Saban must be going through right now? This is a time when he's conducting spring practice. He's building his team. He's also laying the foundation for recruiting. And not that they're not doing that with the recruiting. Obviously, they can have some contacts over the phone, Zoom, whatever it is, text messaging. All of those things are still available. But at the same time, this is a great opportunity to have players come in, prospects come in and visit your school, meet with the coaches, get a feel for each other, also get a feel for the other players, watching what practice is all about. So this is a valuable time that they don't have. So all of these things, then you have to plan for, okay, how are we going to overcome this? Well, it's kind of hard to overcome when you really don't know when you're going to have an opportunity. Because guess what? What if everything is, let's just say everything, they've closed it down to May 31st. What if they were to extend that to early August when camp starts? What if they were to extend it to the end of August? Then all of a sudden, you don't have anybody on campus from March through August. That's a real big, a huge difference from what has normally been done.
No doubt about it. I'll tell you this, the coronavirus pandemic can't stop Tighter Insider TV. We're still on every Tuesday night on WVOA 23 at 6:30. We've already profiled all of the early enrollees. Tomorrow night, Rodney, we'll start looking at the freshmen who are set to enroll. We'll begin with Kyle Edwards, Kristen Story, Timothy Smith, and Damian George. So we're looking forward to that. Quick basketball note. I know there's some chatter on the board about Nate Oates' recruiting efforts, and three players that are going to join this class for sure, maybe be a couple more. The latest is Keon Ellis. So he is going out there and hitting the recruiting trail and seems to be having pretty good results.
Seems like he's getting the kind of players he wants.
Right.
I'm excited. I'm really excited because I think this is, and again, just to be honest, you follow basketball much more closely than I do, so you have a better feel for it. But at the same time, I think you can sense what he's doing, getting his players. I'm excited about Quinterly, Javon Quinterly, the transfer. Primo Josh Primo who committed last week. Seems to be an outstanding prospect, 5-star by certain publications, or maybe 247. I can't remember who has him a 5-star, but he's a quality player and really loaded up from the outside. And then this one, Keon Ellis, 6'6", 170. Somebody mentioned that he was pretty skinny, Gary, and I thought about George Gervin. I hope he can load it up like the Iceman. But you've got those guys, and then team them with Shackelford. Wow. I think Alabama's they're really going to be exciting as we start to move forward.
Indeed. And you already mentioned it, but all kinds of news updates are always available out there at TiderInsider.com.
The Quad, man, I'm telling you, if you want to know anything about the coronavirus, it's right there. It's amazing how much information you can get right there. And I mentioned some of the other snippets you pick up on. TiderInsider.com, it's only $48 a year. You can get instant access with your credit card if you prefer. There's an address there to send a check, and gives you all that information that we talked about on our forums. And hopefully, as things resume, Gary, we'll have a lot more premium information that we provide there at Tider Insider.
Indeed. Thank you, Rodney.
All right, buddy. Take care.
Rodney Orr with us, and